being cut. I was a child subjected to female genital mutilation, a violence that stole my voice, my childhood, and the safety that every girl deserves. No one explained, no one asked, no one stopped it. My mother was silent, and the woman believed that they were doing the right thing. Tradition. I screamed, I begged, but my voice didn't matter. I was too young to understand what had been taken from me, but old enough to feel that something inside me had broken. When I eventually came to the UK as a refugee, I didn't speak a word of English. I was bullied, I felt different, and there were so many moments that I wanted to disappear. And then something happened. I became Miss World Somalia 2025. That I never allowed myself to dream. But with that crown came responsibility. I left girls behind, still sleeping hungry, still running barefoot, and still waiting. So I used every ounce of courage I had, every bit of strength, and every platform I was given. Today I work to end female genital mutilation, to educate mothers, to protect girls, and most importantly, to teach survivors like me that they are not alone. Because this is not culture, nor is it religion, and it's definitely not part of our destiny as women. For generations, our mothers, our grandmothers, and the women before them were taught that suffering was part of being a woman, but it's not part of our destiny. I can't change my past, but that is why I fight for their future. And today, the world knows me as Somalia's brave daughter, an FGM survivor, the founder of the Female Initiative Foundation, and the current reigning Miss World Somalia. I am a proud Somali woman and a very proud African woman. I am Zainab Jama.
They told me sit down. I told them don't worry, I'ma build an empire, and you won't even notice. Until I drop this emotion. I usually stay in when I pull up, I'm a monster. Finna hook you with my potion, hit you with the rah-rah till you think it's poison, yeah. And they try to hold me down. Come home. The first time they told me no, it was through silence. I was rejected before I even opened my mouth. White. Everything was white. Their skin, the snow, the landscapes, the vibes. Not much needed to be said for me to get it. You and your brown skin and your untamed afro and your passionate spirit does not belong here. Everything about you is disruptive, too loud. And so I became what I needed to be, to not ruffle any feathers. I walk like them, I talk like them. Through my very existence, I begged for validation. Please affirm that I belong. I promise I'll be one of you, forget where I am from. It didn't take me long to realize that shape-shifting and pleasing and entertaining would earn me a seat at the table. That whatever made me me was suitable, if only in the right dosage, in the right context, as spice when reality became too bland. The message was clear. Give us good vibes, A little attitude, but please dim your light if it shines too bright. Be our diversity, but we don't want accountability. And so I became what I needed to be. So whatever made people uncomfortable became my expertise. I even got a master's degree in peace building. See, some call it code switching, I call it exorcism. Come home. I didn't find music and songwriting, it found me. It became the only safe space for me to be my true self, the only place I could hear myself and hear God. Dear diary, today I am enraged. They said they wanted Afrobeats, but no one knew my name. They said I am exotic when I'm just being myself. I'm tired of explaining. Free me from all of this shame. Little did I know that an artist is born to cause commotion. So the more I told the truth, the more I found my people. Come home. My ancestors kept whispering, oh, we know where you should be. Come to the fatherland, Africa, how you day? The first stop was Cape Town, South Africa. The 5 years that I lived here taught me that here too, I would be different, but here, different was the norm. In fact, diversity and otherness is all that they know. Another thing I noticed was South Africans speak up. If something isn't right, they protest, demand change. And so black and brown South Africans, they helped me find my voice. So now I tell the truth in my diary and on the stage. Now I say things with my chest. Now we stand on business. Come home. I come from a long line of singers, travelers, and pioneers, and I'll never forget when my father said, Akubi, when you move, boo, God moves too. And so I finally obeyed the calling from above. Go to the roots where there's rhythm and there's drums. The Gold Coast, Ghana, honey, I'm home. It's been 10 years since I made the bold decision to relocate from Norway to the motherland, Mama Africa. And I'm currently based in Accra, Ghana. Today, I'm an independent artist who makes Afrobeats for emotional gangsters. That is complex people who feel intensely and who think deeply and who have great taste. Today, my music has been streamed millions of times. I performed at some of the world's biggest stages, including Afrofuture and Eurovision Norway. I've been featured in GQ, Billboard Africa, and I just released a song with one of Ghana's biggest stars, Stonebwoy, shout out. The song is called Dream Big, and that's exactly what I did. And I'm proud to say that I've done all of it independently. I've learned that sometimes in life, you must go where you are loved. Stop begging them to see you. Build a platform of your own. And that not fitting in is simply just an invitation to lead. So let this be my testimony that being you will set you free. And in Norway, where I grew up, I'm proud to say that I'm a part of a movement where black and brown boys and girls finally get to see themselves on the screens and on the stages and in places of influence to see that, yes, you belong, and yes, you can. I'm now the voice behind several animation characters in the Disney and Netflix universe. I get to be something that I never had. Today, I am an ambassador of otherness, of my complicated roots. I travel between and represent many homes: Ghana, Norway, Africa, and beyond. Honesty is my home. No way back, baby, here we go. Was locked down, but I don't stay low. Hey, watch me when I'm a triumph. They say no, now we run the show. Me and my girls, we are about to blow. Hey, well, watch me, I'm about to triumph. My name is Akuvi Kumonji, and I am a proud African woman.
Never forget the time when my mother had to sell her very beautiful gold wedding ring just to pay my siblings' school fees so that they won't be sent out of primary school. And a few years down the line, in high school, when she had to sell egg roll snacks and other things to ensure that my sister and I could go to school that academic term. I remember sitting in the kitchen, couched on a small wooden stool beside my mother as she let out her frustrations, the limitations, the weight of not having enough. The fire burned angrily against the frying pan as the egg roll snacks simmered in the boiling oil. And in that moment, I knew that this cannot be it. I was made for more. Her tears could not go to waste. My mother taught me resilience, what it means to persevere in the storm. And as I grew older and poverty stared at me harshly in the face, repeatedly lying to me about what I could not do, I developed a different response. Start with what you have. By the way, what a pleasant coincidence. Today is my mother's birthday. I love you so much. Thank you. The woman I am today started with the principles you taught me through your exemplary life. Interestingly, also, on this exact day 6 years ago, at the age of 17, shortly after starting my environmental NGO in 2018, I hosted a first of its kind, global focused environmental event in Nigeria. The weeks leading up to this event was filled with sleepless nights, writing proposals, facing rejections, and having doors shut against me. But what I faced in that moment wasn't just pain and resistance, it was doubt. How could a young African teenage girl think this big? How could I imagine possibility out of dysfunction? Some people applauded, but others questioned. And in that moment, I had to not only silence the external voices, but also the internal fears. And soon, the tide turned. At age 18, I won my first international grant funding, which helped to solidify the foundation of the work I do through my NGO by and for young Africans. At the age of 19, I won another grant funding from the National Geographic Society, one of the world's largest and oldest environmental organizations. At 20, my NGO's impact increased, reaching more educational institutions and youths across Nigeria. At 22, something shocking happened. My NGO was awarded a $100,000 grant from one of the world's largest environmental funder, GEF. And in that moment, I once again asked myself, is this real? I started this vision with almost nothing. I was just a girl. And today, at the age of 24, my NGO has deployed more than 80 projects, reaching over 30,000 young people across Nigeria and Africa, and we're just getting started. I've also had the opportunity to speak at the United Nations, advocating for more meaningful solutions and youth involvement in solving environmental issues. In 2024, I emerged as the first African woman to be named a Young Superhero for Earth by the Captain Planet Foundation. Over the years, I've been invited to speak at international conferences globally. I have received more than 25 awards and recognitions, and my story of impact has been broadcasted on global and local media, inspiring millions of lives. I have said all of that to say this. I strongly believe that we African women carry not only a womb that can birth babies, but a womb that can birth vision, solutions, and innovations that can heal and restore Africa. And that is what I chose to do 7 years ago as a teenager, starting my environmental NGO, and more recently, as a social innovation coach where I train hundreds of social innovators every year. My story is proof that young Africans, when supported with the right opportunities, we can rise above limitations and break barriers. I remember my first ever international virtual event. I felt out of place because of the sound of my voice and the color of my skin. I was one of the few black women in the room. But I refused to stay silent. My voice is equally as powerful and should never be erased. And the truth is, somewhere right now, there's an African woman questioning her worth, whether her voice matters or whether her solutions count at all. And as I close today, I have a word for you. Please never forget this. Within you every single day, you carry something so precious and divine. A seed, a solution, a possibility that only you can bring to life. So, do not silence it. Do not shrink it. Do not hide it. Your voice, your hand, your voice can change the world. You are not insignificant. My name is Oluwaseyi Jesuton. I am from Nigeria, and I am a proud African
woman. Sometimes our most impactful moments don't happen in hindsight. They happen in the moments that are real and are living, and sometimes in the moment just before we have to show up. Yesterday, I arrived at Johannesburg Airport. I was waiting for my bag to arrive. I had come off a week of intense media attention, which I've never enjoyed. I was preparing for a live interview. I had a lot of anxiety about that. I had said goodbye to my children, knowing that that was going to be a long period away from them. And I stood there waiting for my bag to arrive. I had a cap and sunglasses on, which I don't usually do either. But I had people all to the left of me and all to the right of me. And I desperately just wanted a private moment with tears streaming down my face. I went back to my hotel room and I sat on the floor. And I was this close to emailing the Forbes team. Bless you. I was this close to emailing the Forbes team to say, actually, I can't do this. I'm not enough. What have I done? What have I achieved to be on this stage?
And I sat there with the talk in my hands and I looked at it and I was saying to myself, I'm going to have to prepare this talk and I'm going to have to redo the entire thing knowing that I've got to get on to a Forbes stage in just a few hours' time. And that's not just any stage, but it's the Forbes stage. And in that moment, I realized something. I realized maybe this is the moment I need to be talking about. Maybe it's not the talk that I had spent weeks preparing, getting coaching for, getting advice about. Maybe it was the moment about how impossible sometimes things can feel, but you get up and you do it anyway. And sometimes we're not always able to show up as our strongest, most confident, most put together versions of ourselves.
True story.
Sometimes we're walking around with brokenness. Sometimes we're walking around with mess. Sometimes we're walking around unclear about our lives and how things look and the futures that we want to create and how do we get there? How do we create that becoming? Sometimes we're just arriving in our becoming. And so tonight, I thought, while I was re-preparing my talk, I thought about all the phenomenal speakers that were going to be here today. I thought about every single one of the women you have just heard from. I thought about their stories. I thought about the impact that they would be leaving with every single one of us tonight. And I thought about this familiar voice that I've had with me, that's journeyed with me my whole life, this voice that has constantly told me, you are not enough. You don't belong on that stage. What do you have to add value to the conversation that is happening there? But I chose to show up anyway. And can we try and imagine a world where every single one of the voices that we have heard today did not show up because they were fearful, because they believed that they were not enough, that their voices did not matter, that they did not belong in the room? What a disservice that would be to society and the world that every single one of us here want to see created. And that is why falling forward has meant so much to me over the last year specifically, but throughout my life, because I believe that we, specifically as women, are constantly knocked to our knees. We are constantly knocked to the floor, and we have to find the solutions and the inspiration and have the ability to get up and go again. Does it get easier? No. No, it doesn't, but it is necessary. It is necessary for every single one of us here in this room today and beyond to believe that our voice matters, that our story carries weight and could be a saving grace for somebody else. So if you are here today and you believe that you're not sure if you're living the life you're supposed to, your voice doesn't matter, your story doesn't matter, I'm here to tell you that I woke up today feeling the exact same way, but I showed up, and you can too. And sometimes falling forward is the only way that we're able to move. My name is Rachel Kolisi, and I am a very proud South African woman and an even more proud African woman.
Ladies and gents, I don't know about you, but I'm truly feeling so inspired. A true reminder that if they can, you also can do it, no matter what your circumstance or challenges that you encounter. I think that you deserve another round of applause. All right, we have come to another important segment of the program. We call it lunch, which will be served on the fourth floor. It's downstairs.